everyone, I'm Denise Love and I want to welcome you back to my channel. Today I'm going to play in these Faber Castel watercolor markers, and it's really cool because in this box they had the markers in little trays. So I got all the little trays out over here, and I just kind of want to experiment with them because since I did them in the art hall, I haven't had them out, and so we're going to play with those. And I pulled a color card because I want to be lazy thinking about colors and pull colors that I just know are going to be cool together, because I can get kind of close with the markers. I may not get exact, but I can definitely get close. And just looking at those and pulling out some of these just made everything so much easier. Like, look how much easier this is, just saying, okay, let's pull this, this, and this, and I've got my color palette. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Got a dark color that's kind of in between. Color's kind of in between those two colors. So I think I'm going to go with at least these 5 colors, and then I might do something on top. But I think it's pretty cool how these had their own little trays, and it made it really easy for me to kind of just skim down and see what colors are going to work for us today. Alright, so this is color 483. It's out of Color Cube 2 by Sarah Renee Clark. This just made my painting days and my the hardest part of that process for me especially is picking the colors, because I like all the colors, and then I get stuck with, well, what would look good with this? And if I picked, say, 2 colors, what could I flesh that out with that I know is going to look really cool? And a lot of times you're like picking colors and you're like, oh, that did not do what I thought it was going to do. And I do that too with these. These end up way different than I'm even thinking that they're going to end up. But there's just like so many options, and I like all the options, and so I just get stuck. I'm going to do one of those blobby watercolor things because I'm kind of interested in that blob style at the moment. I'm using a piece of Hahnemühle watercolor paper. I just cut 3 inches off, so I got a square. I'm going to be square lately. And then I got that extra piece over here that I can then use as my palette paper. Left my favorite paintbrush over on my photo taking table, along with the supplies that I used on the last project, and I may need them over here for this project. I don't know. So let's pull all the supplies back where they go. I'm real funny about supplies and stuff. Let's go ahead and wet this and see what we're getting. I'm real funny about every time I do a project, film a video, I'll make sure that I clean the table and I get everything ready. So this is kind of interesting. I used this on something earlier and I didn't have the lines staying in there, but I feel like if you let this dry a little longer, do the lines stay? Do the lines work their way out? So this is our experimenting time. So these are double tipped, small tip, big tip. And we're just going to see what we get. We may hate it. Who knows? But we're going to play. And if I color all of it and then come back with the water after, would that work? I'm kind of, you know, what's the protocol with these? Have you tried these markers? What do you think about them? How did you like them? It's kind of interesting just to draw on here like with a marker and then see what it creates after you wet it. I mean, it's kind of wrong end, kind of interesting to play and experiment and even see like what do these give us. I don't know if I like creating in this way. I'm kind of did a bit on the fence here with this. Do I like it? I don't know. And we can combine some of these, you know. I'm kind of thinking that we could layer these if we needed a different color. So that could be interesting to play with. That gray separated into like some blue in there too. Kind of feeling like maybe we got to wet it and go back over it too. I mean, that might help us get rid of lines that we made. So yeah, we're just experimenting and playing. I want the colors to bleed. I want to just see what this does as we wet it. Does it get rid of the lines? Different papers, I'm sure, would give you different looks too. I'm using a cotton paper, which tends to give me the most interesting watercolor techniques and gives you the longest dry time. So it gives the paints a little longer to do what they're going to do. But just kind of fun to play with something different that I've never played with before. With these markers, it's like painting without paint, you know, you're painting with markers, and that's pretty cool. Okay, now the brown definitely kept some lines in there, so I'm kind of wondering if I let it dry too long, is that why I can see the lines? But the lines could be interesting. It might be an element that's it might be an element that you're needing in there. I don't know. Kind of feel like I need some teal going off the page up here to kind of drive the eye through with that teal color. I did see an artist use these on like a regular painting, something they drew and painted, and that turned out cool. And they just did like little areas of color and added the water and kept working their way through. That's not really the way that I paint, or the subject matter that I'm interested in, but it was kind of, and this was a long time ago too, like way before I even had these. I kind of don't like watching what people are doing with like a current thing I'm obsessed with, because then I want to do what they're doing, and I like to be, you know, where does my inspiration take me for this? Like, where do I want to go with it? And I don't want to watch what other people do with those things. I want to see where I want to go with it. I'm going to pull out my Pit pencil. This is my Faber Castel 14B, and I'm kind of thinking that I want to do just a little bit of some mark making in here. And we could do that when it's dry, but I could do it right now when it's wet. Maybe circle out some of these just to add some interest. And I'm going to add some other stuff on top too. I'm just kind of looking and thinking out loud as I'm going. And I could do some marks, and I could do some lines. Could do some more outlining. I could do that with some other colors. I kind of feel like I need this to dry. Would be kind of interesting, do these bloom out now that some of it's kind of drying? Can I get them to create interesting little blooms? So before it gets too dry, you got to do this while it's damp, not too wet, but not too dry, and just see, can we create some pattern in here by just tapping some water back on it. See, that one left some lines in there. That's very interesting. So you just play and experiment. Let me let these dry and I'll be right back. All right, we're pretty dry now, and I'm thinking that we could do something on top of this. We could do some metallics. We could do some other pins. I could come back with these with the other side and do some type of, yeah, let's do that. Whoa, see, look at that. Do some lovely dots. I could get out my circle stencil if I wanted to make sure I was going, say, in a circle, but these are a little more abstracty, so maybe we'll just kind of get within a pattern. You could also take like a 2H or a 4H pencil and lightly draw lines that you're wanting to follow and then erase them. But I don't do that. We can either be completely random, kind of there, or we could just get out our little stencil and it could help us. So really I could do that. I got it right over here. It's my architectural circle stencil from school. So, you know, if you ever wonder, does plastic break down? This stencil is at least 30 years old, so the plastic does not really break down. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's do another one over here because I want to. Because this is a stencil I could have bought yesterday. It's in such good shape. Granted, it did live in a little case in my closet for a long, long time before I pulled that back out into my art room, but still. The point is, plastic does not break down. Okay, I'm loving that. Let's get the right lid on the right side. Kind of feeling like I like that for this too. Just as, no, you know what? I kind of want this color, but in a pastel, maybe some gold. Let's see. You got to think. You got to think about how you want. Ooh, maybe I want one of these because this is about that same color. Yeah. This is the acrylograph pens by Archer and Olive. Now the drawback to these pens, I love them. They're kind of like Poscas, but they got an even finer tip. But they're like limited editions. So once they're gone, they're gone. And then they get new editions sometimes. And I don't know. It's kind of hard knowing if you're even going to be able to get some of these again. But maybe. But I like them, so I'm going to use them because I have them. But they're like Posca pens. Feel free to get yourself some Posca ones. Ooh, look at that. So you can get a real fine line with these. And I like that. Because then I can draw around stuff. Yeah, let's do that. I like that. I kind of like it over here too, maybe as a third place. If you like the little rule of thirds there. Do things in threes. Sometimes I do that, and sometimes I just ignore that rule. Okay, now I'm feeling like I want to top this with, let's try the silver. And then I'll top it with pastels because we're kind of in a blue, gray, green. So this is my fine tip liner. And I have just put in this some of the Kuretake silver, which is not nearly as exciting as the gold, but it's the silver, and I don't think it's a mica. Like my gold is a gold mica. This one seems to almost just be a shiny silvery white, but it's still fun. And I put some in this fine line because it's got a nice tip on it. We can get some fun lines. It's got this yummy needle that kind of keeps the tip from filling up, and then you can kind of keeps it where you can draw. And then I have found on these, if you use them almost parallel to the paper, not up and down, then you have much better control over the ink and press it really soft. You're not trying to squeeze all the ink out, and you can see how fine of a line that we can get. And this is the fine tip one with the blue label, and I'll link these underneath the video. I'm kind of feeling like that right there. I could put some dots out here just so that the silver's not out there by itself. But the tighter down that you hold this bottle almost flat with the paper, the better control that you have over it. Definitely practice on a little practice piece of paper before you go to whatever the important piece of art is that you're creating. Now we're playing and experimenting here on this project, so I'm not overly concerned if I dab something weirdly somewhere that I didn't intend to. But you can see how much control I seem to have holding that bottle almost parallel there with the paper. Okay, I'm feeling that. I get excited with the more layers that we do, and so you just put that right back on, and it's ready for whenever I want to use it again. Those little fine line applicators are an excellent kind of substitute for the brass nib that I like so much by the Kakamori nib. These are, I've got gold in one of these also, and that's an excellent alternative that's not very expensive at all. So I love that. I need to let that dry. This is my little Ranger heated craft tool. I like it because it's not much noise and it's enough heat just to get things to dry. A lot quieter than the other tool that I have that's a embossing tool. Just trying to prevent myself from putting my hand down in that silver, because you know I'll do it. You're like, why did I do that? And then, you know, we can kind of see that silver shine. I like it when there's a little bit of shine in there. That put that right there. I like that little bit of a shine element. All right, so kind of keeping in mind that colors I got here on my card, I think I want to use a couple of these Richton's soft pastels and maybe some Mungo oil pastels. I like the textural difference and the color differences that I get with the different pastels. If I just use the soft pastel, I'd finish it with the soft pastel Sennelier fixative. If I'm using both pastels, I could do a layer of one fixative, then layer the next piece on and layer that fixative, or I could probably just use the oil pastel fixative if I wanted, and top it at the very end, and I think that would work just fine also. But the Sennelier ones are the ones I like. It's always somebody that asks me how am I going to finish a piece, and that would be it. I finish it with a fixative. And I do have a video on my channel on how I preserve art underneath the studio playlist, so definitely check that out if you're curious about how I go about finishing and preserving art. Because I don't mention it in every single video, or every video would be like the longest videos ever. Look how pretty that color is. Okay, I also don't blow the powder off everywhere. I will tap that powder down onto a paper towel or something like that as I'm going, because I don't want to contaminate everything here and my work surface with all the powder. I'm in a V mood still, little birds. So we'll just go ahead and add some little birds. Ooh, I like it. Okay, so that was the Jack Richton's pastels that I showed you in one of the hauls, the art hauls. And then I've got the microfiber cloths over here, and this is how I get this stuff off my fingers as I'm working on art so that I don't smear it everywhere. And I could go ahead with a towel and just put that down. And also, you know, if you'll dampen that towel with, this is a shop towel I'm using, but if you'll dampen that with a little bit of water, that pastel powder will have something to stick to. So I just want to mention that while we're going. There we go. And then I don't smear it or rub it any more than that. And then you can move the towel off to the side. That can be your towel that you reuse for pastel powder if you just fold it up in it. Now let's see what we can add with some little pastels, because there's that one kind of in-between color that I didn't get, you know, a marker that really matched it. So I'm kind of wondering, this one here, could we do something similar or close or in that range? I kind of like this one. It's a little different, but I'd still like it. Let's do it. So we're still kind of in our color palette. My goal on these is to not be exact, but is to kind of work within a palette I never would have thought of before. So I don't mind getting within a shade, kind of getting close, but I don't have to be exact, just so that I'm working in a brand new exciting color palette. To me is kind of how I think of that. And we could come back with this kind of pretty grayish color and add some in here. I mean, we might already have enough going on. I could have done some stencil stuff on top. I could come back with some lines. Oh yeah, see, this one's like a pearl white. It's not even like a white. That's perfect. It's like the silver. We could come back in with some lines. It's like a ladder, almost. Yes, that's what I needed. I needed a ladder in there. Oh yeah, okay, see, I'm feeling good about that. I like that line. I like where we've gone with this. So then you just have to evaluate at the end. Are we there? Does it need something else? Is there a pop of color that you're thinking, ooh, could have used, you know, whatever color it is that you're thinking? Or do you think, you know, I'm loving it? So I'm kind of feeling like I love it. We could keep going. I kind of like it where it's at. I could add some white Posca in there, but I feel like I'm happy with where I've got it sitting for the moment. So I'm going to peel and take a look at it. I almost wish I had gone out with a little bit of dots and colors outside of these colors more, like out into the white. But I'm okay with just living with this like this for a bit. Ooh, look at that. Then we can turn it. Do we like it? Do we like it a different? Oh, I kind of like it this way because now we're kind of coming through, bringing the eye through. Ooh, I don't know. I kind of like it the way I painted it though. Okay, so my favorite bit on here is this teal with this lovely salmony orangey color on top of it. That's my very favorite bit out of the whole piece. And I like this bit even better than this bit because I didn't put any of that silver over here. So if I am thinking like what other thing can I do, I could put silver dots over here and I'd like that part a little bit too, even better. But that's my favorite bit right there. If I were going to do like a cut this up to a different shape kind of thing, you know, I'm kind of feeling like this piece right here could be the part that I cut out of that. Keep in mind too, if you do a piece like this and you love part of it but not all of it, you could cut out of this too. Cut out the part of it that you love, and then you've saved it. But I'm actually loving it just like it is. So I'm very happy with today's abstract painting, experimenting with the Faber Castel watercolor markers. Hope you had fun today with this particular color palette, and I'll see you next time.